Hi guys, and welcome. Today we're going to be reviewing The Book That Made Me. I just want to say thank you to Candlewick Press for giving me a copy of this book. So first of all, I just kind of want to explain what The Book That Made Me is to those of you who don't know. The Book That Made Me is an anthology of 32 different stories from various Australian and New Zealand authors, detailing the book or books that turned them into a reader or into an author. When Candlewick Press contacted me asking me if I'd like to possibly read this book and review it, I was absolutely thrilled. I had an idea of a book exactly like this in the back of my mind for many years, and I was thrilled to see that somebody else had had the same idea and actually turned it into a reality. This book was such a fun read. You could easily fly through it within a couple hours, but I do really recommend taking your time while reading this anthology. Actually, the way that I would recommend reading it is to read one story per day, because there are, to me, themes within each story and something you can take away from each story, and I really think, instead of reading them all at once, you should read one and think about it during your day or later on during your day, and just kind of think about what that story meant to you and meant to the author. I just feel like you would get so much more out of it if you read it one story per day. Although I know that could kind of be annoying, because then it would basically take you a month to get through the entire book. But I just really think, personally, you would get so much more out of it if you read one per day. One way I do think this book could be unenjoyable for people is that all of the authors located within this anthology are in Australia or New Zealand. Most of them are not internationally known, so you wouldn't really feel a connection to these authors because you have no idea who they are. So one way I think that you can fix that is at the back of the book here, they have an About the Author section. Before you read the author's story within the anthology, just quickly flip to the back, read about the author first, and then read the story. You'll have a little bit more context, especially if you have no idea who the authors are. I didn't find the About the Author section until I finished the book, and I was kind of disappointed because I could have gotten so much more out of those stories if I had known who the author was and what they had done. Another thing to do would be to look up their books on Goodreads. Who knows, maybe you'll find a new book to add to your TBR. I would absolutely adore and love to do this exact same concept anthology of the books that made authors with Canadian and American authors as well. Now, I'm not going to have any spoilers in this review, and I'm not going to go in depth and talk about the various stories by the various authors. I do want to mention here some of my favorite stories and the authors who wrote them. Those are Alison Croghan, Will Kostakis, Queenie Chan, Kate Constable, and Marcus Zuzak. Of course, I didn't quite connect with all of the stories within this anthology or all of the authors, but I really feel like there is something for everyone within this anthology. Everyone has something that they can take away from it and that they will love about it. I really loved how this book didn't set any limits for the stories the author could tell. The authors were allowed to make it one book, they could make it a series, they could make it multiple books. They could make it in different mediums, if their medium was print books, or an audio book, or a book read aloud to them, or manga, or anything. Anything was fair game within this book, and I absolutely loved that. It really shows that there are different forms of the written word, and that all of those different forms can influence and create lasting memories for people. I love books so much that I was constantly absorbed in each story from each author, and I couldn't wait to see what book or books it was that influenced this author and turned them into such a reader or an author. As readers, we each have our own stories that we feel nostalgic about and that we have a connection to. And this anthology really is a treasure trove and an homage to that idea. If you love reading at all, I really do recommend you read The Book That Made Me. I'm sorry this was such a short review. I really didn't want to go into any spoilers and really talk about any of the stories within the anthology because I really want each reader to have their own experience when reading other people's stories. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more videos from me. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Tumblr, and Goodreads. I'll include links for those in the description box down below, along with a Goodreads link to The Book That Made Me. Thanks for watching! This is Christine signing off. And Every Hidden Thing by Kenneth Opel. This book is it's said to be Indiana Jones meets Romeo and Juliet, which is awesome enough as it is.